Good afternoon. I'm Kirsten Murphy, Executive Director for the Vermont Developmental Disabilities Council. And this is a short video that I'm making to provide you with more information about the role of the chair and the vice chair, the two leadership positions on the Developmental Disabilities Council. I'm going to start by talking about the chair and the duty that the chair has in our bylaws. There are 5 of these duties listed in the bylaws. First, the chair must run all council quarterly meetings. This also includes running the executive committee meetings, which are the planning meetings between quarterly meetings. Now note that the bylaws say the chair presides at these meetings. Preside is a fancy word that means you're the person in authority that attends these meetings. You don't actually have to facilitate the meeting. A chair may choose to appoint another council member, often the vice chair, to facilitate an executive committee meeting or a quarterly meeting. It's quite typical that at quarterly meetings we share facilitation between staff and various leaders of some of our subcommittees. Second duty. The chair is responsible for scheduling and calling quarterly meetings and executive committee meetings. What this means in practical terms is that the chair sits down with me once a year and sets the dates for our quarterly meetings and our executive committee meetings. Staff take care of sending reminders and the public postings that have to occur for public meetings. The chair is the one that calls meetings to order. Note that the chair also has the authority to call a special meeting. This doesn't happen often, but I can think of one occasion when we had to call a special meeting because we needed to address public comment that had been made in response to our 5-year plan. We had to do that before the filing deadline. Third duty. The chair is responsible for appointing all members of the council committees. Now, along with the executive committee, there are 3 standing committees that are mentioned in our bylaws. These are the policy committee, the program committee, and the membership committee. The chair is responsible for naming members to those 3 committees, as well as the executive committee. Note that each of our standing committees has the right to choose their own chair or co-chairs to facilitate their meetings and organize the work that they're doing. The fourth and substantial duty of the chair is to ensure that every year there is an evaluation of me, the executive director. Now, as you know, we have 2 staff members. They report to me, and I take care of having their annual evaluations. But I, as executive director, report to the council as a whole. And so the executive committee is responsible for undertaking an annual evaluation to see if I've done the things the council wanted me to do and if I'm living up to all the various requirements of my job description. The executive committee does this by gathering input from various partners in the community, from all our council members, and sometimes from staff. The executive committee then meets in a closed or executive session. That means I am not present, and they talk about my performance for the last year and the input that they received. Based on that conversation, a summary is written up using a state form. This is the standard form that the state uses for all personnel reviews. Now, sometimes the chair chooses to be the person who writes up that summary, but the chair is not required to be the one that does it. The chair may ask anyone on the executive committee to write up the summary. Once the summary is written, the chair takes that form and files it appropriately with the authorities at the state. Several authorities have to sign my evaluation before it becomes official. Once the document is signed, it is returned to the chair, and at that time, the chair and sometimes another member of the executive committee sit down with the executive director and we talk about my evaluation. At that time, I'm allowed to see the written summary. I will then sign the evaluation, and the chair takes the form and once again files it, this time with the Office of Human Resources for the state of Vermont. What's challenging about all of this is that there are various important deadlines that have to be met in order to ensure that the evaluation is official. The fifth and final duty under the bylaws is that the chair sits on all the committees of the council. The chair is considered an ex officio member of all committees except the executive committee. Ex officio means that you don't vote. So the chair sits on the program, policy, and membership committees, but they don't vote on those committees. And typically chairs attend some of those meetings, but not all of them. That would be a lot. The chair is a voting member of the executive committee, and the executive committee is, of course, an important resource for the chair. All right, so that lists the 5 official duties of the chair. There are some important unofficial duties that aren't described in the bylaws. There are 3 of these. First, the chair has a responsibility to connect regularly with all council members, especially council members who are self-advocates and family members. The chair is there to help council members grow as leaders and advocates. It's important for the chair to get to know our council members so that the chair can make good informed choices when appointing committees or when working with the executive director to figure out who might make the best use of an important opportunity, say testifying at the legislature. The chair is also sometimes called upon to negotiate a compromise if 2 council members have a sharp disagreement, or if there's a disagreement between the executive director and a council member. Those things are very rare, but sometimes the chair can be helpful. The second role of the chair is to meet regularly with me as executive director. Typically, I've tried to do this weekly with our chairs so that I have an opportunity to update them on all the progress the council is making toward our 5-year plan, to tell them about any new policy initiatives, and to let the chair know how we're doing with our federal requirements. This is also a time when the chair can check in with me and make sure that I'm taking care of the goals that were set in my evaluation. The third informal duty of the chair is that the chair sometimes speaks on behalf of the council. This could be in testimony, it could be to the press, it could be writing an editorial, it could simply be representing the council at a meeting. Now, the chair will always have help from staff in order to sort through what is the official position of the council, what has been voted on by the council, and to help ensure that we are never lobbying, since that is something we're not permitted to do with legislators. So staff help the chair with all these duties of speaking for the council, but it can be an exciting role for the chair. I will also mention that the chair is welcome to attend our national conference in July, though not required to. Often this is, back before the pandemic, this has been held in other parts of the country, and it's an enjoyable opportunity for the chair to get to know the councils all across the country. But for some chairs, that might be a difficult trip, and again, it's not a requirement. Now, people have also asked, what does the vice chair do? Well, that's pretty easy. The vice chair has all the same duties under the bylaws as the chair, except that the vice chair only does those things when the chair is not available to do them his or herself. For example, if the chair has to resign, the vice chair serves as the chair until the full council and the governor can appoint a new chair. Or the vice chair may serve temporarily as the council chair if, for example, the chair has to miss a quarterly meeting because they're ill or traveling out of state. Similar to the chair, the vice chair is a member of the executive committee and is a voting member. And like the chair, the vice chair sits on all the committees as a non-voting member. Both the chair and the vice chair serve for 2-year terms unless their rotation on the council means that they have to serve for less. The appointment of the chair and the vice chair is by full vote of the council, and there is a required endorsement by the governor. So the position of chair or vice chair is not official until the governor has signed off on it. The vice chair has some important informal roles as well, and that is that the vice chair always acts as a resource for the chair. The chair may ask the vice chair to do certain jobs, for example, reach out to a council member or write up something like the evaluation of the executive director. The chair has a very big job, so the vice chair is always ready to help with that. That concludes our discussion of the role of the chair and the vice chair, and I hope that all of our council members who are self-advocates and family members will consider running for these leadership positions at some point during their career on the council. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to our current chair or to me. I'm happy to help you understand these roles some more. Have a great day.